And as we all know, the ultimate goal of every farmer as they go to the farms is to make a profit out of what they do. They want to realize some profit from their efforts. And therefore, if we are not able to sell our produce, it is a big challenge. And from our previous conversations, we've realized that most of the farmers do very good work in the farm, producing their produce, but then getting to the market becomes a challenge. Either they are not getting the markets, or if the markets are there, the prices are not good enough. And so many other challenges, including policies that affect marketing. Therefore, today, we have two presenters. They come with a wealth of experience and expertise in marketing. And I am sure all of us will learn from them. And of course, it could be a point of networking and collaboration as well. Therefore, I'm encouraging everyone to inform their friends, their colleagues to join us today for this session. Because at the end of the day, I am sure people's life will not be the same. Those who did not know how to or where to sell their produce, this could be a place for networking. We will have two presenters. One of them is Samuel Ndungu of Koan, and Sylvia Kuria of Sylvia's Baskets. I'm therefore going to invite Sylvia to introduce herself, and then Ndungu will introduce himself and start us off. Therefore, without further ado, I welcome Sylvia Kuria to introduce herself. Karibu, Sylvia.
Thank you very much, Misoi, and happy to be here, and also, just to be presenting with my friend Sam. We've worked together for many years, of course, especially in this space of marketing, and we continue to do so. So as Grace said, I'm Sylvia Kuria, and I'm one of the master trainers in the program. And I'm a farmer, organic farmer, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I have been running Sylvia's Basket. I think now it's 8 years. This will be our 8 years, whereby we've been selling our produce. And I'm really excited, to have the chance today to actually share about our experience, how have we done it? What are the lessons learned? What part in local organic markets work? From my experience, what is challenging, but also, just to also motivate all of us to know that we can get into the space of markets. As Misoi said, when farmers go to the farm, the end goal is the market. So we need more people in the marketing space, because producers, we have lots of producers, but markets is what we are struggling with. So I'm going to give my brother Sam a chance to start. And when he's done, then I'll be able to come in and share our experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. And now I welcome Mr. Samuel Ndungu of Koan. Karibu, Sam.
Thanks, Grace. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So my name is Samuel Ndungu. I work with the Kenya Organic Agriculture Network as a programs manager. I have worked with in the organic sector for some time, developing guarantee systems and helping farmers and companies to get organic certification. I've been working on PGS for some time now. And today, as Sylvia has mentioned, we want to discuss issues of PGS and market. And for me, I've been discussing about PGS. How do we develop a PGS, both at the group level, at the national level, developing structures in those two levels, so that by the end of this presentation, then we can have more knowledge on this, and we can be confident. If you are an extension staff, you are working with a PGS group, on developing a PGS, then this can be a very good, information that you can use. So I welcome you to this presentation and this webinar. We have these two presentations, and then after this, then we have a question and answer session. So I think we can start now. And I'm trying to move to the next. Yeah. So why do we need guarantee? Do we really need a guarantee system? And how can a guarantee help? If you look at the organic standards of USDA, we call it NOP, or National Organic Program, they give a limit up to which the amount that a farmer can actually get certified or can be under guarantee system. They say if you are a farmer who is producing or who is handling organic products worth less than $5,000, then you actually don't need to be certified. And why they say this is that the guarantee system, especially that party certification system, is actually expensive. And if you're producing or you're earning an annual turnover of $5,000, then you cannot afford to pay. Or if you pay, then you'll be on debt. So sometimes guarantee systems are not necessary, especially when your production is the value is quite small. And that's the other thing I'm thinking about. If you have a small farm, if you have a quarter of an acre or an eighth of an acre, and whatever you are producing is a raw value crop, or maybe you have some few portable gardens, you may not need to be certified, because once you certify, especially due to third-party certification system, then the amount of money that you'll be paying will be higher than what you'll be earning out of your production. Or if you are selling to your neighbor, because guarantee is is where you want to and communicate to your customer that actually your production system is following the organic standard. So if there is a way that another way that you can use to communicate to your customer, maybe a customer coming to your farm, checking how you are doing your production, you may not need to have another person who is a third party to come and guarantee you, because you're already using another way of guaranteeing. The farm visits that that customer comes to check is enough to guarantee that you're following the standards that you are saying you are following. Maybe if it's organic standards, you are actually following organic standards. Because once the neighbor or the friend comes to your farm, he or she is seeing how you are producing your crop. So I want us to see guarantee from that perspective, that you are building the consumer confidence on the production system that you are using. And sometimes it doesn't make sense when you're producing low scale of production and your turnover is quite very low. And there are different two types of guarantee systems that are available in organic agriculture or according to organic standards. We have the third-party system, and the third-party system is where you have a company, which is, we call it a third-party, coming to check the farmer how he's producing, or it can be somebody who is handling organic products or somebody who is processing organic products, and then checking against the standards which are set and giving a certificate or certification that actually that producer or processor or somebody who is handling is actually following those organic standards. Normally, this system is done by private companies, and because private companies are profit motivated, this type of system is quite expensive, and sometimes it discourages persons or companies which are acting on very low level of production or processing. And if they do actually certify, then they really struggle to renew their certification, because certification is normally an annual cost, and they are supposed to pay every year. The other form of guarantee is a participatory guarantee system, which is the alternative to that party system. And this is what we'll be discussing a lot. And participatory guarantee system started being developed in 2004, when IFOAM developed a committee, another committee, to look at the alternative guarantee systems which are available globally, and then come up with a common way that those systems, which are alternative guarantee systems,
Ndungu, we are losing you. Kindly check your connection. Sorry for that. I think we are getting Sam back. Kindly be patient as we wait to get him back.
Yeah, I don't know what is happening, but
Continue.
yeah. So if consumers can take this word ROCO and then put some trust in it and some preference, it's a communicating something. You know, it can start for some, guarantee of some sort. And in that study also, 6% of consumers actually preferred food produced by smallholder farmers. And they also preferred food collected from home area, which they preferred as local food. And if you look at this statement, and then also put into consideration that people have been preparing, or there has been some trends of people preparing traditional foods, herbal foods, African river vegetables, which are also considered local. This is showing that, and most of us, I'm sure, we like eating domas, squashes, managu, terere, and we actually prefer put some, premium in this product. If, for example, you look at the local chicken, there is some premium, even if it's not organic, there's some premium that has been put to this chicken. And what I'm trying to drive at is that ROCO can also be used as a way of guarantee if there are systems and procedures to back it up. And if you look at PGS, it's actually a backed on local food production system. That's why PGS is actually a very strong guarantee system. If it can be developed and if people can embrace it, because it also incorporates local and cultural values within society. And just continue. So looking at the definition of PGS, probably we already know what is a PGS, but we say that it's a system of trust.
Sorry, Ndungu, kindly share your screen. Share your screen kindly.
Sorry. This technology sometimes happens.
Understandable.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with my internet. I hope you can see that.
Yes, we can put it on presentation mode.
Yeah, already done. I hope
Perfect.
you can see it on presentation
Go ahead.
mode. Yeah. So I hope we were able to follow this other slide where we're talking about ROCO as a PGS and looking at the trends, what is happening in this practical action survey, and also the current trends where people are preparing traditional foods and herbal foods and African vegetables and putting some premium on these foods, not because they're organic, but because they are local. And I was saying that PGS also is embedded on local and cultural setup, and that's why it's actually strong. So a definition of PGS is a system based on trust, with known consequences. So trust is very important, very key in PGS, and consequences. Because when trust is broken within a PGS system, there should be consequences. Because if there are no consequences, then there's no system. So the system itself is embedded on this trust, and all the participants they understand that if this trust is broken, then there's no guarantee. But if it's maintained, then the guarantee is studied. And the more important thing also is that PGS allows consumers and farmers and the stakeholders in general along the value chain together to create the system, to co-create the system so that there is transparency and trust. So they work together. PGS cannot be just be for farmers. We have to integrate the other stakeholders, consumers, extension officers, other stakeholders that can be involved so that there is that co-creation and people feel they are part of the system. And the transparency itself really helps to build trust, because if there's no transparency, then there's no trust. And once the trust is built and everybody is involved in the operations of the PGS, then that trust can translate to a cost. Yeah, because that trust is what is enabling the guarantee system to stand. And farmers can actually use that with little cost, and then they can continue producing organic, selling to consumers who are working with them, who know them, and consumers can be able to access safe foods, which will not be priced at a premium cost because there's little cost involved. And then this brings connection to the whole process of organic farming. So we are talking about a system where stakeholders are working together. There is trust and transparency in place, and farmers are using that trust as to provide guarantee. Because as I said before, in the rock of food system, what we just made is for consumers to believe and trust what we are providing them. We are actually following the standard. So if we involve them in the system and they can see what we are doing, they are involved in passing, for example, the internal regulations that we have. They also come to our meetings, they listen to what we do. We are involving them also in the peer review and visiting farms. That is enough guarantee for them to be sure that we are actually following the organic regulations. And why PGS is important? There are so many good things about PGS which have been currently documented. Also from our experience, we have experienced them. For those who have been working with PGS group, they know this. For example, third-party certification is quite expensive. It discourages smallholder farmers. There are very few farmers who have been able to pay for their certification costs through the third party. And most of our farmers are actually small scale farmers. So their scale of production is quite low. And therefore, the cost of production compared to the income they are getting from their farming is quite low. And then most consumers, our consumers in our setup, especially our African setup, they may not be prepared to pay for premium price, especially if you look at the landscape of middle and lower income groups, both rural and urban consumers. That means that we need to have a way of reducing the cost of doing production and certification so that we remain competitive. Because even if we are organic farmers and we have consumers preferring to buy our organic food, remember that we are also in a market where there are also other products which are competing with our product. So that's a very important advantage of PGS, because when this system is cheaper or lower the price, then that means that farmers don't need to put a premium price on their product. And then most third-party certified organic production or products are for export. or they head up to the export market. Because in the export market, we can be able to get a premium, or they can be able to get a premium and then cover their certification cost, and therefore they can remain in the market. But if you look at the PGS, it's actually for local production. This is for us, or for our market here. And then there's a need to bring organic to the mass market. If we have production as only for that part, that means there's limitation of how many farmers can actually produce as organic. Then that means it will take us a long time before we bring organic products to the mass market. By mass market, I mean, if you go to the open air market where most consumers, buy their products, there needs to be organic product stations there so that consumers can make a choice. Do I need to buy organic, or do I need to buy conventional? For example, in our Kenya setup, we only see organic versus conventional in some few supermarkets. So what we need now is to have organic in all the supermarkets, in all the open air markets, so that consumers can get a choice whether they want to buy organic or they want to buy conventional. And this can only come when we adopt a PGS, and therefore expand the number of farmers who are producing, and therefore get more products to the market. The third-party certification scheme, when you look at it, most of people who certify through this system, they are either through what we call group certification schemes, which are based on contract production, where exporters, or we call them operators, are the ones who pay for certification costs. It's very rare to see farmers paying for their own certification costs. You only see this when you have big commercial farms or large farms, which are getting certified. So that means that PGS is actually very adequate, very good, where farmers themselves can actually initiate this and get certified themselves. And we also see a lot of farmer empowerment in PGS, both in governance, building their capacity, strengthening their participation in the market. And this actually brings sustainability of farming systems. Because you see, we are building farming systems which will continue without outside support or interference. And PGS, of course, is definitely cheaper because, as I said before, there is a lot of volunteering, and we are actually substituting this trust to the cost. So farmers are not paying a lot of money, but using their time to ensure that they are attending meetings, they are doing peer reviews, checking the other farmers to ensure that they are following the internal regulations which they have agreed on. So actually, this makes PGS to be cheaper. And then PGS can actually be very useful in supplying organic products to the mass markets, as I said, because they are locally stations. So where we have open air markets, they can actually get a space and put their products or display their products, and this can happen all over the country. So they are very important. And PGS is also based on such simple supply chain, no middlemen in between. So and that actually brings competitiveness of the pricing. This study that was done last year by Practice of Action in Kenya, it showed that PGS products are actually priced between 93 to 95% lower than conventional products in all the farmers markets that were studied. And they studied about 7 organic farmers markets. So this actually shows that when we embrace PGS, we'll actually be able to compete with conventional products and therefore provide a very good opportunity for our farmers to participate in the market. And the other thing is that PGS as a system can actually be used in both organic as a production system where we have organic standards, but also in other agroecological systems. We have been discussing about this agroecological systems for some time, and whether this is synonymous with organic systems or different. But for me, the way I see it is that agroecological systems, they are quite broad, they are wide. Inside agroecology, we have regenerative agriculture, we have, sustainable agriculture, we have, biointensive agriculture. We have so many systems within agroecology systems. And some of the systems in here do not prohibit fully the use of synthetic, pesticides and fertilizers. So what I want to mean here is that when we have a way of developing standards for this system, then PGS can be used as a guarantee system for also these production systems. Yeah. So we can have PGS group for which are doing sustainable agriculture. Yeah. Where they are basing their production system to some form of standards which are based on sustainable agriculture. Yeah. If you are doing regenerative agriculture, you can have a PGS for which are based on regenerative agriculture, practices. And therefore you have standards which are, backing that system. Because PGS can be seen as a system which can be used in various forms. And then PGS local markets can actually form part of ecotourism. And we will be discussing with the county government to see, can they be able to integrate PGS as part of the ecotourism system support? Because if you can have a good PGS market, and then integrate not just organic foods or organic products, but also natural and food products, that can also attract some tourists to be coming and, doing shopping for, cultural products, and other products which can be interesting for them. So we can see PGS as a way that can be used in that form. And PGS can also be a very good way of developing local organic markets or markets in the rural areas, because markets can be PGS markets can be created anywhere, because even in the rural areas we also have organic consumers who would like to buy organic products. So organic is not just for the right in the urban markets, but also in the rural areas. So in Kenya, PGS has been growing, has been developing. We started in 2013 with one group. Currently, we have about slightly, I think, 26 groups now, because it was in 2021. The growth has not been very significant. Of course, there has been some challenges relating to capacities and people being able to convert their groups to PGS, and we are addressing these challenges, one together with our other partners, so that we see PGS growing a bit faster in Kenya. But if you look at even the number of farmers, currently about 16.4 farmers, this we can say is a bit low, but we are working on improving this. For now, acreage, you have about 2,520 acres under PGS for farmers who are doing PGS in the different parts of the country. But we are working on this to see how this can be improved. The PGS is based on 11 common features that were developed by that technical committee, which now has been made a permanent committee within IFOAM. And one of these features is that PGS should be based on recognized production standards. That even if farmers are developing their own internal rules and regulations, those regulations should be based on some production standards which have been recognized by IFOAM as part of the family of the standards. Because if it have to be open, then there might be challenges of actually comparing PGS groups across different countries. And the groups should come up with the rules or norms, and these norms should also be developed together with other stakeholders so that the stakeholders also understand what they mean and the requirements and what the farmers are following. We also say that PGS should be built from the grassroots by farmers themselves, also inviting other stakeholders. It should be appropriate for smallholder farmers. It should not be for big farmers. So the system itself should be supportive of how smallholder farmers are, for example, producing through rain-fed agriculture. They don't produce all the time. Sometimes when they don't have produce, other times they have produce. They also produce more quantities. So it should be supportive of that. Also should have the principles and values should reflect cultural producers. When the internal rules and regulations are developed and the systems and procedures, they should not go against the culture of the producers. It should actually respect culture or adapt some of the cultural values and systems embedded in culture so that they can form part of the PGS. Because culture is very significant. It has an important role in the lives of people. So it should be also reflecting what the PGS group are doing. And the management system should be documented, even the procedures that the farmers are following. So there should be records which are kept on, for example, how farmers are bringing in new members, how they are doing their peer review should be documented, the sanctions or punishments that they're giving, how they are running their general assembly, their meetings, how they are doing their marketing systems, structures. So all that should be documented so that, and this builds transparency because if anybody comes to check how the group is doing, they can be able to show. And also we say that even the documentation should be open and transparent and free for anybody to come and check how they're doing. There has to be a way of verifying that farmers are following the internal rules. And this is principally done through the peer review. Of course, the assumption is that these farmers are close to each other. So therefore, when they are doing their farm work, they are visiting each other. But there should be a time when the PGS group go to all the member farms. Of course, they should have some checklists on the internal regulations, and then they check compliance with these internal regulations for each member. PGS should also incorporate technical development or trainings for farmers, capacity development through maybe exchange visits to other farms or other groups, attending field days, having sessions for training from experts, or maybe from one of the lead farmers, visiting each other, learning from each other. And this is very important because PGS farmers in PGS quite have a lot of knowledge of production in organic. And the PGS members should take a pledge. And the pledge is a commitment that they normally give to follow the internal regulations, committing themselves that they are part of the group. And in case they notice one of the members who are not following regulation, they tell the other members or report that member because they are together. So the pledge is normally done. Maybe lifting their heart, they can say, I pledge, I'll be following the internal regulations, or they can sign somewhere or put their thumb to agree the internal rules. And PGS can develop their own label or seal, which they can be using to market the group and create that brand for their group. And they also need to have a system of punishment where if a farmer or if one of the members is not following the internal regulations, then there are consequences which are well stipulated. The punishment system, because sanction system should be clear and known to all the members of the group. So these 11 features are quite important. And if you are making a PGS group, then it should have like screen where you tick whether each of these features are in your PGS group. The committee of PGS within IFARM also developed these key elements, which are 6 elements of PGS to guide also on developing a PGS. And the PGS group needs to have a shared vision across all the stakeholders. And the stakeholders here, we mean the farmers themselves, consumers, and other stakeholders. As you can see there, stakeholders can be local NGOs, extension workers, or consultants. So one of the things that you can do to build shared vision is to have like a meeting where you invite these stakeholders, and then you go through the PGS requirements, the vision of the group, maybe the internal regulations, and together you pass a resolution to be following this regulation, and together also with the stakeholders and consumers. Also, PGS, there has to be participation of both the stakeholders, consumers, but also farmers themselves. What do we mean by participation of farmers themselves? Is that, for example, you don't need to have a situation where you have only one or few people who are controlling the group, and the other members, they don't know what is happening. The leadership within the group should be rotational in nature, meaning that you can't have a chairman of a group who is a chairman for more than 3 years. There has to be some change, and unless within the entire leadership of the group. The other thing is that within the group you can have different committees of the other farmers participating in the different committees, so that each of the farmer has a role within the PGS group. We should not have a situation where some members of the group are not participating in the operation of the PGS group. And transparency, as I said, comes because farmers in the PGS group, they have an open door policy. They're inviting visitors to come and see what they are doing. So they're exchanging with other PGS groups, and they're also exchanging with other stakeholders. They are opening their documentation for checking by other visitors and other stakeholders. And that means that anybody can see what the PGS group is doing and be confident that they're actually following their own internal rules and procedures which they have set. Trust is also very key, and as we said before, this word trust is what actually supplements or it's the one that takes the cost of certification. Because if there is no trust within PGS, then there is no PGS. Trust comes because farmers, when they are forming the PGS, they are conscious that they are coming to do organic farming. Nobody is forcing them to join the PGS group. They are coming to do it because they know that it's a good thing to do. Doing organic farming is the right way to do farming, to provide good food to consumers and also to their families. And that consciousness with them is what supports the trust that comes with it. So you don't expect a farmer who is a group member to also continue using, for example, chemicals if in their internal rules they don't use chemicals, because he's not being forced to be within the PGS. He has a choice, yeah, because he has that consciousness. So he's somebody who can be trusted, and that trust is available to all the group members, and also is shown to people who are outside or who are the stakeholders. PGS also is based on the running process, because within PGS there is a lot of learnings and capacity development, and PGS group has to be proactive in ensuring that their members are involved in this. Maybe they are organizing few days, as I said, they are organizing some training for their members. They are visiting other PGS groups to run. They are calling some consultants to come and train them. And this process should be continuous throughout. They also visiting each other to run. Actually, when they are doing their peer review, it is a peer review checking plus running. So the peer review committee also invites other members to also participate, so we can also run from each other. PGS also should be based on, horizontality. Horizontality meaning that there is no member of the group who is senior than the other one, who should be dictating to others. Every member of the PGS, is the same, should be looked at as just a member. So even when the peer review reports are being evaluated, they are not evaluated by a committee or some few people, but rather they are evaluated by the whole General Assembly. That is quite important, because even if it's the chairman report which is being discussed, it should be discussed by all the members. Yeah, and there should not be favoritism within the PGS, because everybody is the same within the group. So these six elements are quite important in PGS when PGS is being developed. And if you are involved in developing a PGS, you should ensure that these six elements are actually embedded within the PGS. Let's talk about the stakeholders. Sometimes we have been challenging to bring in stakeholders within the PGS. And sometimes you see many PGSs are just formed by farmers, and no other stakeholder is involved in the activities of the PGS. And this is quite a weakness which has been happening. It's quite important to try to have motivation for involving stakeholders, other stakeholders within the PGS. They may be traders who have an interest in buying from farmers. They may be consumers who have an interest in buying from the farmers. They may be NGOs or extension workers who are working with the farmers. Could be governments. In Kenya, we have, for example, county governments. That could be one of the county government officials who is participating within the PGS. It's quite important to have a PGS, not just by farmers themselves, but also including other stakeholders. This brings legitimacy on the PGS and encouraging what we are talking about, the transparency of the PGS, and also bringing this confidence, especially to consumers or buyers who can be traders working with the farmers. So in terms of building a PGS, building blocks, it's important to have some situational analysis to have more understanding of the group. If you're a facilitator, you want to facilitate a PGS group, it's important to understand the group, to know why it was formed, what are their mission, vision, what are their needs. This understanding in the beginning is quite important, so that when you are helping them to have a vision of PGS, then it can line with what is already their vision. Also understanding their their governance, their leadership structure, and whether that leadership has a motivation towards PGS is quite important. Of course, the next step is bringing stakeholders, and then you have a shared vision. Could be in a general assembly or some meeting that has been organized, so that that visioning can be achieved. And then next step is dividing and agreeing on how the PGS will work. Of course, you need to build systems and the structures for the PGS, records and documentation, ensure that this is clear and every member of the PGS understands both the procedures and the systems which have been developed, and how they are supposed to work, and their different responsibilities. So what is the responsibility of the member? What is the responsibility of the consumer if it's a part of the PGS, the trader, other stakeholders? If they are leadership or there are committees within the PGS, what are their different roles and responsibilities? The next step is to operationalize the PGS or implement the PGS. You can have very good system which is documented. You can have good procedures which are documented, but they are not implemented. Nobody is following them. a PGS is not complete if the rules, regulations, procedure, systems which are set in the PGS are actually done or implemented. So if you have said that before a member of the group, for example, in the procedure for joining a group, that member should pay 50 shillings, should be trained on organic, should be, visited his or her farm, and then you just bring a member, and then you don't do those things. You haven't implemented the system. If, for example, you have indicated that every year you have a peer review committee visiting all the members of the PGS and checking with a checklist, which you have agreed on, and then you don't do that. So then you are not implementing a PGS, and you can't say that you have a PGS. So a PGS is where you also implement you operationalize what you have said as procedures, systems, and documentation. Of course, the next step, of course, is important to do a peer review annually, and then submitting that peer review report for approval. In Kenya, KOAN is the one that is doing PGS approval through the National PGS Committee, which now is in place. So when you submit that, and then the committee looks at the peer review report, then they give you an approval letter or certificate for the member. So these are the steps for building PGS. In terms of building a national structure for PGS, as I come together with stakeholders in Kenya, we have been trying to build a national structure for PGS. It's quite important to do situational analysis, needs assessment, understanding all the groups of PGS. And this process we started last year when we had the first national PGS workshop. You need to have some standards that you're using for Kenya and other East African countries. We use East African Organic Product Standard. It's quite important. And as I said here before, is that if, for example, you are working on, for example, regenerative agriculture or sustainable agriculture, you need also to have standards which are based on those systems so that PGS can work for you because you need to work with some standards. Of course, we agreed on the national structure, which is composed of the National PGS Committee, the National PGS Office, and then the team of assessors and the COTs. Initially, there was a proposal to have regional committees, but this has not been accepted yet by the National PGS workshop because it was felt that these are a lot of structures which are not sustainable. But maybe something that can come in the future. It's very important to think about capacity development of actors. That's why we do trainings on PGS, so that we have more and more actors aware about PGS and how it can be developed. And the actors here also training not just farmers, but also other actors. Also doing market development activities so that by initiating, for example, organic farmers markets or working with the traders, creating linkages with the market, it helps to provide PGS group with the opportunities to market their products. And when we talk about capacity development, also I want to draw these two differences because there could be capacity development for leaders of the PGS. And as I said, leaders of PGS, there should be rotational leadership. So of course, we ended up training everybody on group leadership. And in this group leaders, when you look at the what you can train or what you can build capacity on for group leaders, one is group leadership, responsibility of leaders, how they can be ensuring that the rules and regulations, the procedures and systems are being followed. Documentation or record keeping, because there are group records which should be kept So they should not be just be kept by the secretary, but also every other leader within the group where he or she is working has to keep some records. So this is quite important to show also for transparency purpose. The other important issue is the group dynamic. Group dynamic is where you work with the leaders to ensure that they understand how to live with the other members, how the interaction between members should be done, because individuals are different and there may be misunderstandings within the group. So how do they, for example, resolve issues which are coming out from the differences between members? And if there are conflicts, how do they do conflict resolution within the group? So this is part of group dynamics, which should form part of capacity development of group leaders. Of course, ensuring that they understand their roles and responsibilities, and they are actually implementing them. The other level of capacity development is the members of the group. They can be trained on how to do peer review using the templates that they are developed, understanding the questions and how to ask them and to evaluate the compliance level, how to be good farmers, good organic farmers, to do good organic production of the different crops that they are doing, maybe doing value addition if they are doing processing on the farm, or they are doing joint processing, how they package and market their products. They are also on the responsibility within the PGS group as members, and then organic regulations, the sanctions which are there, so that they can be following the organic rules and regulations. So in the at the national level, when you look at the different structures that can be there, and I mentioned some of them, you can have regional or county, like we have in Kenya, county platforms or committees, which can be involved in lobbying and coordinating PGS activities at the county level, because agriculture now is devolved. And, for some counties, especially the ones which are showing they are pro-organic, you can actually work with them to have this committee at the county level for PGS. We can have already have a national PGS committee in place, which is now doing approval, reviewing rules and regulations, and they are also involved in approving PGS group. They were elected last year, and there are meetings starting this year, which will be quarterly meetings for doing all these activities. We have a secretariat for PGS, which is based at Coan for maintaining PGS register, records, and coordinating PGS activities nationally. So in terms of market development, because it's quite important for PGS group, and Sylvia will be talking more about the market. But there are models that PGS can use for market development, for example, having linkage with traders or having their own organic farmers market, or having organic farm shop for the group, attending exhibitions and field days and selling their products there. That's an opportunity for marketing. They can develop their own organic brand, which they can market even in the supermarkets or shops. And all these activities should be embedded within the PGS because they are required that the PGS will also be participating in the market. So operationalizing PGS at the group level is building capacity, quite important of the farmers, and also include the other stakeholders, developing the structures for the groups. Of course, as I said, ensuring horizontality element is there, that all the members are participating, developing the group procedures and documentation, conducting peer reviews, organizing general assembly, helping them to start market initiatives, marketing activities, and then facilitating these running activities like field days, workshops, symposiums, and exhibitions. Operationalizing at the national level, of course, is developing the regional national structures, developing guidelines, procedures, and documentation and regulations for PGS, Coming you up with an assessment or approval scheme for PGS. You can have market development activities at the national level for PGS group, or you can have things like national PGS workshops, which we are holding SCOAN. And now the PGS, National PGS Committee is the one that is organizing this National PGS workshop. It could be symposiums also being held by PGS group, which can integrate exhibitions. So these are some of the pictures that we have. For example, Kagari Organic Farmers Market. There is a PGS in Kagari, which is running this Kagari Organic Farmers Market. And they are also doing drying and value-adding hubs and packaging. They also sell hubs on wholesale to buyers who go and package and sell to retailers. You have this INOGOF PGS. Last year it was awarded the PGS of the Month award. They have been quite successful in earning their PGS at the Academy State. Quite a good PGS group. We also have Kikuyu Organic Farmers Market, which is run by Kikuyu Organic Farmers. They also have a PGS, quite advanced PGS. So they run this farmers market, and they also have, they're working with the Sylvia. I think Sylvia, we mentioned about them to buy their products for the market. So thank you very much. That is what I have for now. I'd like to appreciate for you for listening. And I think after our moderator will tell us when we have a session for questions and answers. Otherwise, thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Ndungu, for that wonderful presentation. I hope our participants are noting down if they have any questions. And then after Sylvia's presentations, we shall have the Q&A session. So kindly keep calm. Let us wait for the last session, the last period, so that we can answer both questions from Sylvia's presentation and from Ndungu's presentation. So right away, I want to invite Sylvia Kuria to take us off from there. Karibu, Sylvia.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Give me a minute. Let me know if you can see my screen. I'm trying to, okay. So can you hear me and you can see my screen?
Yes, Sylvia, you're audible enough and the screen is okay. Continue.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing more about the local organic markets and the potential. In fact, when we're discussing about what we're going to share today, for me, that was just, what came up for me, because when I just see the potential we have, to be able to grow our local organic markets. And, for me, my presentation is basically just to share my story, to share what we've been able to do and achieve. As you can see, what I'm holding in my hand is actually dried pineapples from farmers in Uganda. So I just want to encourage you all and to also share, about what we are doing to promote organic produce locally. Okay, so when you think about the, just 1 minute, let me just change my screen here. I want to be able to, okay. Okay, so when you think about the organic markets and where they are in the value chain, this is just the typical agricultural value chain, what it looks like, all the way from production, harvesting and transport, processing and storage, secondary processing, distribution, where we can, talk about handling and packaging, and then going all the way to the market. I just want to say that as we go through the presentation, I want us to have this value chain in our minds and just to see the great potential we have to actually make an income in this organic value chain that we have. most of us are actually in the area of production. Very few of us are handling transportation. A few of us are doing a bit of the primary and secondary processing, which is, to add value to the farm produce. Distribution, packaging, and handling, again, another gap. And then wholesale and retail markets, unfortunately, again, we're very few. So I would just like to encourage all of us, as we go through this session, I want us to think critically and actually ask ourselves where there are gaps is where the business opportunities might be. And I'm not saying that we don't want the farmers to produce. We want farmers to produce as much as possible, but we don't want the farmers, to struggle with the production and then, also struggle with the markets, struggle with harvesting, processing, distribution, transportation, logistics. We really have to see how we can actually be able to grow the organic markets, because I believe we can't grow the organic markets unless we are growing through the whole value chain. So in this presentation, I'm going to share my experience as being able to have worked in the organic retail space. We have changed now, and as we go through the, the presentation, I'm going to share about my lessons learned and how we have evolved in the market space. So, of course, you know that organic products are those that are grown under a system of agriculture without the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Thinking about our environment and being socially responsible. I think when you think about the different, the principles of organic agriculture, when you talk about care, health, environment, and fairness, all these actually come under being socially responsible and making sure that, we are taking care not only of the environment, but of the people that we are living with. So I wanted us just to look at the market scenario. What does it look like in terms of the dynamisms of the market chain? So in Kenya, this is how we experience, and I'm sure it's also similar in most of the African countries, whereby you have the producer, is mainly the market, the farmer, sorry, the farmer. The farmer is the producer. And then when you go through, you normally find that they're dealing with brokers all the way until you get to the supermarket or the retail shop or, the open air market. So we normally have the first broker, who's normally at the village. And the one at the village is one who normally knows what's happening on the ground. He knows what farmer is growing what. Go to the farmers and buy from them. And then this broker normally goes to the second broker, who is at the local market. So, we have a lot of issues with infrastructure. So you'll find farmers are not even able to get local markets sometimes because the roads are not good. They have logistical challenges whereby, you have your produce, but will you spend money to pay, a transporter to take your produce to the local market? So you find this is a gap that brokers have come to fill in. So this village broker will then sell the produce to the broker at the local market. The one at the local market is like our aggregator. He aggregates things from the different parts of the village. He has things from this village, the other village, bring it together at the local market. And then now after that, you find that this broker from the local market will then take it now to the bigger markets, which is in Nairobi, could be the Marigiti, say, for example, the main markets in Nairobi, the bigger markets in Nairobi. And then from there, the things end up to the supermarket or to the retail shop or whatever. So you find, because of this long chain, who gets the short end of the stick? Most times it's the producer, who is the farmer. And then also, when you look at this whole chain between the producer and the supermarket, the farmer has very little access to information. They don't even know the cost of the product. They don't know information. They don't have market intelligence, because these three brokers are the ones who know everything happening in the market. They know the consumers, they know the customers, but the producer doesn't know what's happening. And then again, there's little or no power in the value chain relations. The producer, who is meant to have the most power, has very little power, by the way. The brokers has the most power, but sometimes you might find the supermarket or retailer is the one who has the most power. So the person who's buying from all these brokers has the most power. They know exactly what they want. They know how it wants to arrive. They know how it needs to look like. So it's unfortunate that the producer then has the least power. But then now, you know, I'm just giving these scenarios also just for us to start thinking, how do you want the markets to be? How do you want to grow the market base in terms of organic? Okay. So for us, we are working on short food supply chains, you know, which is basically a term that describes, you know, whereby you're able to reduce the distance between the farm and your plate, you know. And these are things I always like to ask people as we go through this. I want you guys to ask yourself, how far is the distance between farm and plate? I hope we are really trying our very best to buy food from local markets. This is one of our customers who gave us a space so that we can actually be able to, you know, to sell things in her garden, you know. And, you know, we have farmers market, the farm shops, box schemes, which is like home delivery baskets, which is what I've done for many years. I'm still doing now. We have the community supported agriculture. We have cooperative movements whereby if you go to the local cooperative shop, you're able to get produce. This has worked well, especially for coffee and tea. Like for me, if I want really good tea, I just go to the local cooperative center where the tea is being collected at the factory and being processed. And I know I'll always get very good tea. So, you know, we are actually thinking, how can we reduce this distance between the producer or the farm to plate? So these are the different options that are available. So farm to fork. So like for us, you know, we have been doing this for a very long time. We started doing it in 2000 and, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember, 2013, 14, but then got registered in 2016. But from 2013, 14, I've really just been doing, you know, the baskets. And basically the factors to consider when you want to market, you know, your things, you need to be able to know about the organic farms that have the produce, think about the pricing, which is very important. So it means farmers also have to get a lot of market intelligence, think about the logistics. How is this produce going to be able to move from the farm, you know, to the home or to the market? And then also farmers have to really put into consideration a proper planting program. You know, one of the complaints we've always had as farmers, organic farmers, is that your produce is not consistent. And people are normally don't want to engage organic farmers because they're like, you're going to give me wonderful produce, but you won't have it tomorrow. But we have different challenges, and I'm happy that my brother Sam actually brought it up, that we also have farmers who are rain-fed agriculture, and there's nothing much you can do about it because the investment of being able to grow food all year round is also quite critical, and not everyone can actually be able to get it. But then when you have a planting program, even within the rainy seasons, you're still able to make money. Like about a month ago, we had training on our farm in Deya. I'm from Kiambu, Deya. And one of the things I encourage the farmers, I told them, okay, fine. We're in a semi-arid area. We don't have enough rain all year round. But since we have some rain, the long rains are coming. Let's prepare for what does well during the long rains. Let's have a planting program for the rainy season. And Sylvia's basket will buy from you whatever organic produce you're going to grow during the rainy season. So having a planting program is not just for the farmers who have got accessibility to water all year round. It's for all farmers. Work with the seasons, and I'm sure the seasons will still be able to make sure that you're able to access markets. And then, you know, of course, we're really struggling with unpredictable weather patterns. The weatherman hopefully is going to be right this year. He says that you're going to get some good rains. So the past 2 years have been really difficult for most of us because it's been extremely dry, and we've had to, you know, manage to grow our crops using irrigation, which is not very, you know, sufficient and good as the rains. So let's hope the rains happen. But these are just some of the things to put into consideration as you consider having a farm to fork model. So why are customers buying organic products? This was a survey done by KCOA some time back. You know, maybe some can confirm it, but I think it was sometime back in 2016 or so, if I'm not wrong, when they did this survey. But basically, when we look at the different East African countries, you find Kenyans, where are we? Our motivation to buy organic is with health. For us, we want something healthy. And this has also to do with the exposure, and, we find that a lot of, how do I put it? Like the media engagement has told us that, our milk is contaminated, our skuma wiki and spinach is contaminated, our maize is contaminated, our, so many things are contaminated. Our meat is contaminated. So you find, because I think for Kenya, let me just focus on Kenya. For us, many people are actually buying for health reasons. And also the issue of pesticides and not having chemicals. But you see, for Kenyans, we're not really buying organic because it's tasty. Unfortunately, the people who are enjoying good tasty food are Tanzanians. They're saying, as we're buying organic because it's very delicious, it's very tasty. But I also think as Kenyans really have to grow our organic sector, because I think we've not eaten organic produce for so many years until we don't even know that it tastes different, and it actually tastes much better than the conventional produce. So we really have to work on managing people's palates and teaching them organic is actually very tasty. But then, I found this chart or this information very important to help me know how to market, to help me know how to get to my consumers and tell them, you know what, the food you're eating organic is very healthy for you. It has no chemicals, it has no pesticides. That's what is working in Kenya. For our Ugandan friends, talk about the lack of pesticides, health, and chemical. That is what is going to work. And then also Rwanda, Burundi, you see, is also about the chemical and the health. And then our Tanzanians convince people it's tasty and they will be happy to get it. So I just want to share my journey of lessons learned in having an organic retail shop. So the first thing we did was to eliminate the middleman. I don't know who is the middleman here. We can guess. Maybe it's the man at the fore, smiling, and the farmers at the back are not really very happy. When you look at the picture, I thought that very interesting. The person who's at the forefront, who must be the middleman, is the smiling one. The farmers are like, I'm not sure we're very happy that he's heading ahead on top of the sack. But basically, the reason we actually started our shop was to get rid of the middleman in a way. I know it sounds very bad because we still need all the actors in the food systems and in the value chain. But then for us, it was very important for us to actually make sure that we can be able to take our food from the farm and straight to your plate. So we need the middlemen. I'm not trying to say that we don't need them. They're very important in the food systems. But for us, for this particular model, we're actually making sure that we're able to ensure that produce comes directly to the consumers from the farm. So we started with our home delivery baskets, and you can see we are here packing our nice baskets. This is one of the farmers in Deya, who was supplying us, who was buying actually some produce from us. And you can see, we just pack it in our vehicle and we're able to transport it all the way to Nairobi for sale. So I did the home delivery baskets. I'm still doing it now, but then the reason I put the dates is I was only doing home delivery baskets from 2015 to 2019. But then now we have transitioned in business and learned like different ways of running this particular sector. Then this was our retail shop that we had from 2019 to 2023. And last year, December, we closed our retail shops, and I'm going to share how we transitioned. But for now, the next few slides, I'm going to be talking more about our retail shop. One thing I really enjoyed about having a retail shop is the easy shopping experience. People could literally just walk in and buy what they wanted and walk out. And then you're also able to have very good customer engagement. People are able to come, ask questions. We really had some very good conversations. In fact, anytime I was working at the shop, business was very slow because when customers come, we had always very nice conversations, talking, exchanging ideas. And then also goods are available every single day of the week, which is wonderful because anytime you want to have any produce, you just need to call and we had the produce available. And then you also had greater inventory options. Of course, because of the space, we are able to have enough cereals. Like for us, we've always had about 35 to about even 50 products on offer every single week. And, having a retail shop, of course, gives you that flexibility. And then also one major thing about having a shop is that you have to really work out your logistics. Without logistics, you cannot make it work. And I think that's actually the major impediment for many entrepreneurs wanting to open retail shops. They always ask, how will I get the produce to the shop? How will the farmers be able to transport it? And how will they pack it well? And you have to think about a logistics partner. For us, we are very lucky, that we have Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo is working very well. They are a wonderful logistics partner. We've been with them for the past 5 years. And then farmers also have to be able to think about aggregating their produce, because farmers are struggling to make sure that they have, they are able to have a center where they bring their produce together, aggregate it, and then make sure it's in good quality. How do you pack it so that the produce is not damaged? And then, as I said, most farmers are not able to access markets because of logistical challenges. And here I want to talk to development partners who are within our earshot today. Invest in logistics. Our development partners kindly invest in logistics, because that is the only way we are going to be able to break the barriers, between farmers being able to access markets and between retailers and business people and entrepreneurs like myself being able to access this produce. So I would encourage us, if you want to go into business for organics, think about logistics. And development partners, please work with us in terms of making the logistics work. So this is the marketing. For us, we've done a lot of online marketing. We use WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. But from my experience, do you know what is working the most? WhatsApp. Instagram, I find people just scroll. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, they hardly translate to sales. Very rarely will will an account, will a post on Instagram put more money in my pocket. Very, very, very rarely. WhatsApp works the most, because Instagram, I find, when you're busy or when you're free is when you just want to scroll. You scroll, you go up and down, up and down, up and down, just scrolling. So you don't really make that decision to buy. But I find WhatsApp, because it seems to be the normal tool for communication, that people are actually, excuse me, WhatsApp, I find people are normally more keen to translate to sales, because they find that when you communicate with them on WhatsApp, it's real time. Someone writes a message, you respond, you finish the transactions very quickly. So for us, WhatsApp has been the best. It's the one that's giving us the most sales. And then location is also very important if you want to go into having a retail shop or a place where you want to sell. So, when you think about access, our very first shop did not have very good access because we were on the second lane from the highway. Someone had to go through, some loopholes to get to the second lane where now our shop was. And then but our last location was wonderful because it was on the main highway. And then when you think about even a slight difference in location can have significant effects on market share and profitability. So location is very, very, very important. We found our second location, which was on Gitanga Road in Lavington, worked very well because we had very many homes. People could literally just walk to the place. We were on the first lane next to the road. So such things actually make distribution much easier. And then also where we were made the distribution easier because we were close to so many neighborhoods, around one area. So it means our riders didn't have to move very far to deliver the baskets. And then also, of course, we're located in a very densely populated area, close to very many homes. Pricing. Most times when I immediately open my mouth and I say I'm an organic farmer, 90% of people stop listening to me because they're like, you're expensive, we can't afford you. That's not for me. It's for maybe expatriates or other people who have got financial muscle. I really like the concept that PGS is taking right now. And Sam shared it so well, that we want to be able to get organic to the mass market. We will not be able to get organic to the mass market if it's going to be expensive and if it's going to be a very, costly product. Who is going to buy it? Who's going to be able to access it? We can't do that. And it's not even fair, to make it so expensive, because are we trying to say that safe organic produce is only for a few? Are we trying to say that safe food is only for the rich? No, it's for everybody. And increased prices means organic price is for the rich. And we are really trying to fight that. But if you're a farmer listening to me, kindly don't overprice your product, because we are struggling with the farmers. Because the farmers have been told over the years, grow organic to get specialized markets. Grow organic to get more money in your pocket. Well and good. But when you think about our situation in Kenya and Africa, we're able to grow food almost all year round. PGS certification is very affordable for the groups. Sam has taken us through the whole system of PGS, that even if you're not certified, you can even actually be able to access markets based on trust and accountability, transparency, and being open for people to come and see how you grow your food. So we don't have an excuse to say that you paid a lot of money for certification. And the thing about increased prices, it means increased fraud. Because if a farmer has a very small patch of skuma wiki, they've been selling at a good price for organic. When the skuma is finished, see, the farmer will just get the conventional skuma and supply the normal organic market to get the money. So increased prices means increased fraud. That's why we really have to standardize our prices. And then fraud, in turn, is the biggest long-term risk to maintaining customer demand, because you can't run a business on fraud. But increased prices, that's when 100% will get into fraud. And then, of course, the PGS and the Kilimo High Mark are buffers against fraud and exorbitant prices for organic produce. So we really have to work with these systems. We have a wonderful PGS system that is functional and is working in East Africa. Let's make good use of it. We have the Kilimo High Mark. Even whatever fees we have to pay to use the Kilimo High Mark are extremely subsidized, extremely. So there's no excuse for us not to say we're not using the Kilimo High Mark for organic, to say that we can't be able to access it. It's very, very accessible. So of course, that's a beautiful picture of one of my best organic shops in Africa, which is SAT. The Sustainable Agriculture Tanzania. They have a beautiful shop in Morogoro. If I have my Tanzanian people here, you have a wonderful shop there in Morogoro. I visited it and learned lots of lessons. Okay, so the cost of opening and running a retail shop. This is just for us to know. You have to think about the issues of rent, licensing, store fixtures, inventory, equipment and technology, web hosting, having supplies of the cleaners and things of the source, business insurance, signages, interior decor and aesthetics, and also other costs. So retail is not an easy business. I did it for 4 years, but it has very good inroads into the market and works quite well. And something else I had to learn much later on, and I said I must share with anyone who wants to start a retail shop. There's something called sales to wages ratio. So the average payroll sales ratio is between 10 to 20%. So basically, this is it. When you think about your sales to wages, some of us, when we started our business, we did it emotionally because we love people and we love organic and we love all those things. But emotions will not help you make the right decisions. You have to know how to pay people according to your sales. So basically, the payroll to sales, so basically, you pay people a salary between 10 to 20% of your sales. Nothing higher than that. And when I did my research, I found the big retailers like Carrefour, Naivas, we don't no longer have Tuskies, but Quickmart and all the others take this ratio very seriously. And very few of them ever get to 20%. 20% is extremely high. That has to be, a proper multinational retail something. Maybe Carrefour would get to 20%. But the rest of us, if you want to open a retail shop, kindly keep your payroll to sales ratio at 10% and nothing more than that. So if you're making 100,000 shillings maybe a week, then your payroll or salaries is about 10,000 shillings. That's how you'll manage all these costs. Because if you make your payroll too high, you won't manage rent, licensing, you'll just be at total loss. So keep it at that. I know you don't have to do this, but this is for anyone who'd like to open a retail shop. For me, it was sharing my experiences, sharing my learnings. This was a huge lesson I had to learn much later on. Because for me, I had gone above even 50%, which was not very clever, and it cost me. So, lessons learned. They say that retail has been branded as one of the worst businesses. And I was in it, so I can actually say that it could be true. It's not easy because of the monthly fixed costs. And then, of course, it has high working capital. And customers are very fickle. One day they like you, tomorrow they don't. You make the customer upset today, they block you for life. I mean, it happened to us very many times. Someone is like, you're extremely unprofessional, you didn't give me the good products, I'm out. You know, very fickle customers. They're in and out, in and out. They're very difficult to please. They get upset with you very quickly and they leave you high and dry. And then low barriers to entry. I mean, it's not very easy to get in because of the many things that you have to think about, the licensing, city council. Like for me, one of the reasons I closed my shop was of city council. I had it. I was like, in Nairobi, running a retail shop, you're treated like a criminal. And I was like, I don't have to be treated like a criminal. I can be able to make it much better. Then, of course, it's a steep learning curve. I'm writing a book with my experiences. The learning curve is very, very steep. You have many things you're going to learn, and it's not easy, but it's doable. So where am I right now? I'm now doing an aggregation organic hub. We had a bit of loss at the end of last year, and we had to recalibrate. And we said, this organic shop is not working for us anymore. Now we're going to do something that is going to work much better. And Sam mentioned Kikuyu Organic Farmers Market, who have a center in Kikuyu. So we talked to them and we've rented out a small space at their center, and we're developing an aggregation hub, which has been in existence for 2.5 months. Very excited, and it's working out so much better because I've been able to cut out the high licenses. Let me just take you guys back here. I'm saving so much. I don't have to pay a big rent. I'm not paying big licenses. I don't have to think about the store, inventory, equipment and technology is very minimal. Web hosting is small. You know, the cleaning and all that. Business insurance, I don't have to do it. Signage is very little. Interior decor, none. So the aggregation hub is working for us very well. And how we are developing the aggregation hub, and I think if you're a farmer here, please get back to me, get in touch with me, because I want us to see how we can work together with farmers. I've already started reaching out with different farmers. So far, I have my farmers, and we're actually helping the farmers access markets. Right now, I should have put it in the presentation, I didn't. But right now, we're actually buying 1 ton of organic produce from farmers every single week. I'm very excited about that. And then we are also trying to build the capacity of farmers. I can't do it on my own. We've partnered with KCOA, we're working with PELUM, and just seeing how can we be able to train the farmers, build their capacity, you know. Of course, with also the other organizations like BVAT, of course, I can't forget BVAT, RODI, all these organizations are doing such a wonderful job, you know, with farmers, making sure that farmers can have capacity building. C-Shape, of course, we work very closely with C-Shape, and C-Shape have a center in Deya, and they're doing a wonderful job in building capacity of farmers, training them. They have a wonderful training center. By the way, if you're looking for a place to do training for farmers, please consider going to C-Shape in Deya. They're doing a wonderful job. Of course, we have IPMA, Dr. Mihindo's place, you know, in Ruiru, whereby they're also building capacity. Of course, and I can't forget my friend, Sam Derito at GBIAC, you know, being able to build the capacity of farmers. So for us, having this aggregation center is working with all, you know, of these different people, making sure that we're able to build their capacity, train the farmers, and then also give them inputs. Input provision is key in terms of, we had this scandal of the fake fertilizers, but for us, we are dealing with real people. We have, different input providers who are working with our farmers in terms of being able to give them access to fertilizer, give them access to pesticides. But another thing I want to say is that as you build the capacity of farmers, you bring down the need for them to get inputs. Like I was talking to my farm manager 2 days ago, and he told me Apichi is magic. If you don't know Apichi, you must have missed the class with Dr. Mihindo, and you can maybe look at the recordings. But Apichi is a pest control, and he said it works very well. He's like, it's getting rid of all the thrips, all the sucking insects. Our farm is beautiful because we're using Apichi. And then also in terms of capacity building, we had our sessions on soil with Ferdinand and also with Sam Derito of GBAC. And they're teaching farmers, how do you fix your own fertilizer? You don't have to buy. How do you make your own compost? Like for me, I don't buy any compost. I don't buy fertilizers. I don't buy pesticides. But then you have to support the farmers. At our aggregation hub, we're going to be training farmers on how to be able to reduce the cost of inputs or where they can actually be able to get the inputs. And then being able to have a consistent market. Now for us, we are working overnight to make sure we always have a market so that I'm not going to give farmers long stories. When the farmers have grown the produce, I will not give them long stories until there's no market. So for us, we're really working with the farmers. And then, of course, with consumers, aggregation, it provides consumers with greater access to locally produced food, which in turn can encourage more people to buy locally. For me, I'm so passionate about local markets. Everyone tells me, Sylvia, are you exporting? I'm like, I'm not exporting any produce right now. I really want to focus on Kenya, East Africa, and the African continent. In fact, for us, our hub, we are growing it to be Africa-wide. AFSA, which is the Alliance of Food Sovereignty in Africa, came up with my best book right now. It's called My Food is Africa. And in that book, it talks about the different, beautiful, wonderful African cuisines that are found on the whole continent. And for us, we just want to make sure that our hub is going to have food from Ivory, you're going to be getting shea butter from Ivory Coast, things that we can't, of course, get regionally. We're going to get olive oil from Morocco. We're going to have all this produce on the African continent coming through Sylvia's Basket aggregation hub. And for me, the lessons learned in retail are wonderful. And I would like to encourage as many people within my hearing, please join retail. Don't stop retail. I didn't say retail is bad. I've just shared my learnings. But for us, we want to be able to get more farmers, want to be able to bulk our organic produce, want to be able to make sure that we are working with markets in the region and on the continent. So that's where I'm at right now. And we just really just want to make sure that our hub is able to meet the needs of the farmers and also meet the needs of the consumers. So right now, this is my last slide. Talking about bulk buyers, our best bulk buyer and the one that we're working with right now is Greenspoon. It's an online shop, and Greenspoon have been a wonderful partner. I cannot describe how it's been so good to work with them. They are our biggest bulk buyers for better incomes, of course. They're the ones who are taking up almost all my produce from our farmers. And bulk buyers, they actually are consistent and able to ensure farmers can grow produce with an assured market. The farmers really just want to know that they are able to have a market every single week. And farmers are so encouraged. Like I remember we sold out on all mangoes. Like every week, we were buying so many mangoes from the farmers until the mangoes were like, okay, now Sylvia, we don't have any more mangoes. Now I actually have one of my friends from Manor House. They're working with farmers in Pokot, and they're looking for mangoes in Pokot. There'll be some mangoes coming through. And then also I also wanted to ask if there's anyone here from Western Kenya, Rongo Migori. I'm told you have mangoes. Please get in touch with me as soon as possible. But then for us, we really want to be able to get to bulk markets. Right now, we're only doing 1 ton a week. We are in negotiations with other bulk markets. We are hoping and praying and wanting to work with all of you for us to get to 2 to 3 tons a week. I think won't be too bad, for a start. and just to encourage farmers to know that markets are there. It's possible for you to get bulk buyers, and you know, there's so much potential in organic local markets. So I know we have some of us who are, excuse me, who are doing export, which is wonderful. We can't all be everywhere. But for us who are passionate about local organic markets, get in touch with Sylvia's Basket. You know, let's have this conversation. Let's be able to grow together, you know. Yeah, so call to action. Organic retail is only reaching 0.001. I forgot to put the percentage percent of the population in Kenya. So, you know, when you're thinking about what business can I do that will make you money, this is it. You can see the need. We are reaching 0.001% of the population in Kenya. And Kenya only has 3 outlets retailing in organic produce, ours being one of them. Smallholder organic farmers are only selling 40% of their organic produce in specialized markets. So most of our farmers are actually selling their produce to conventional markets, which is very unfortunate. After all the hard work, capacity building, and that we've done, they still sell their things to the conventional markets. Let's work hard together to make sure that farmers are actually selling 100 of their produce to specialized market. For my farmers, by God's grace, 90% of my farmers are selling all their produce to Sylvia's Basket. I'm almost able to accommodate everything from my farmers, the farmers who are working with us. Then the Kilimo Hai market in East Africa is underutilized. I mentioned it earlier. Guys, the only way we can actually be able to assure people that we have good produce is if we use the Kilimo Hai mark. Let people see it, let people know the Kilimo Hai mark is working, and it's the mark for PGS Organic in East Africa. Aggregation centers need to be set up to bulk organic produce. We have ours in Kikuyu. I'm hoping to have another one in Western Kenya, and even at the coast area, Machakos, so that we can actually be able to get produce from those areas at the different gateways in Kenya. Let's partner and work together. You know, now we only have a little small one, but we want to be able to have a gateway through Western Kenya, another gateway through Eastern, another gateway through North, and another gateway through West, East. Yeah, East, West, North, and South. Let's get aggregation centers in all the gateways in Kenya. And then the market for organic produce is unquenchable. We cannot meet it, all of us, even if we tried, you know. And remember, we're not only thinking about Kenya, we're thinking about East Africa, and we're thinking about our beautiful African continent. So those are my handles. Please get in touch. Get in touch. Let's talk. Let's grow organic markets on the African continent. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow. Thank you, Sylvia. That was a wonderful presentation. I mentioned in the beginning that this could be a place for networking and collaboration. And actually, Sylvia has made a call to action. So at this moment, Sylvia be on standby. Samuel and Ndungu be on standby. It's now the question and answer session. And I'm going to start with Oyena, who has raised his hand. His or her. Oyena, kindly, if you can switch on your mic. I don't know if that person is around. There was a hand up. But if that person is not around, I'm going to appreciate, first of all, allow me to appreciate, we've had Itumelek from South Africa following us on Facebook. We've had Emmanuel from Zimbabwe. We've had Charles from Malindi, Paul from Tarakanidi, and other people who've been really consistent throughout that training session. So if we do not have other people, the person who had raised the hand, I'm going to ask a question that has been asked by Ruth. Ruth is asking, do you ensure that and she's also asking if you're also certifying each crop. So maybe Samuel, can you answer that question?
I think Grace has been, I think her network is not very good. But as she prepares to join, maybe I can answer Ruth's question. She was asking whether during when you are doing a PGS assessment, whether we assess every individual farmer, whether they meet the organic standards. Yes, when you are doing peer review, which is done by the members of the PGS group, every farmer is visited, and it's required that there should be no farmer who will not be visited. So the compliance by the internal rules is by all the farmers. So the visiting route is done by to all the members of the group. You also asked whether you have written standards for groups for vegetables, fruits, and legumes. The standards that we are using for now is the East African Organic Product Standard. So what we require is that a group can domesticate those standards by developing their own internal regulations or rules based on that East African Organic Product Standard. So that's what they are supposed to do. Why do we domesticate these standards? We should put them in a language that they understand. Actually, it's preferred if they can do it in their local language, local spoken or written language, a language that they can be able to understand and read for all the members. So, so that is the standard that we try to domesticate for the different crops. Because if you look at the production standards, they are the same, irrespective whether you are talking about legumes or vegetables or fruits. It runs across all the crops. Back to you, Grace. Sorry for you have missed you for some time. I was answering the question from Ruth about organic standards and whether they are met by each individual farmer, and about the written standards of fruits and vegetables. Up to you, Grace. Grace, you can continue.
Thank you so much, Sam, and sorry for that hitch. Yes, we have another question from, it says personal. Wonderful experience sharing, Sylvia. Thank you. How consistent, as far as compliance is concerned, are the certified farmers you are working with? This is from Margaret Kabuye, our master trainer from Uganda.
Okay, thank you very much, Margaret, for that question. I think what I would say for me, you know, because I'm at the end part of the value chain, which is at the markets, I rely on partners to actually follow through, you know, with the part of the consistency with certification. Because for me, of course, because now we are working out there with the market, we have to make sure that all the products are certified. But I don't have the capacity, you know, to be out there to follow through with all the farmers. But, you know, KOAN, as I was mentioning, the different partners we work with, KOAN, PELUM, C-Shape, and all these other organizations actually have those systems in place. And I only buy my produce from their farmers because they have the systems in place, they have the capacity, they are working on the ground to make sure that the farmers are able to be consistent in their certification. Because now, when I buy produce, say, let me give an example. We normally buy produce from different PGS groups, you know, but you see the PGS groups already have a particular system that's already in place. They have their leaders, you know, they have their checks and balances. So that works very well for me then. When I'm buying from the PGS groups, I know that, you know, the groundwork has been done. I know the field officers from KOAN and the rest are actually doing their work to make sure that the PGS groups are compliant and working through. So I'm not able to follow through on my own, but I work with partners, and then I only focus on the market part to make sure that this wonderful organic produce gets a market.
Thank you, Sylvia. And there is also another question from Keith Baraza. Hello, Sylvia. Do you also buy sweet potatoes from farmers? I'm in Mumias, Kakamega County. If yes, let me know, please. Having orange and yellow-fleshed varieties.
Yeah. So we buy sweet potatoes. We love sweet potatoes. In fact, the ones in Western Kenya are the ones which are my favorite. And we buy from farmers. As you know, for us in Western Kenya, we are working with different farmers. We work with farmers through ADS, which is Anglican Development Society. They also do a lot of organic farming. So what I would recommend for him, because it might be difficult for me to buy directly from him because of his question, but then now what I would recommend for him is to work with the local partners. He said he's from which part, Grace? I'm sorry. Did he say Kakamega or Mumias? He said Mumias?
Yes, from Kakamega. Yes.
If he's from Kakamega?
Mumias, Kakamega County.
Okay, Mumias is a bit further off. But what I would recommend is I would like him to get in touch with BioVision Africa Trust or ADS, which is the Anglican Development Society. And PELUM also, they have a field officer there. Those different organizations who are promoting organic, it would be great if he was attached to them, and then they can visit his farm and ensure that, again, he's following the proper practices. If he needs to be linked up to a local PGS group, join the PGS group, and then you can be able to access our market. That's how we work. But yes, we buy sweet potatoes. Thank you very much for that question. And I hope this can also answer the question of many other people who could be listening and are interested in accessing markets for the organic produce. Yeah.
So I think it is important that maybe we can get his contacts and then connect him to the organizations within that area.
Exactly.
So Barasa, you can leave your contacts. We will follow up with that. Yeah. There is also a question from Sarah Olembo. Sylvia, thank you so much for the effort that you can reach out to other countries in Africa and offer them market through Sylvia's basket. A country like Cameroon is inexhaustible when it comes to diverse local organic products. Do we have equivalents in GPS so that when you buy products from these countries, their products comply with the Kilimo High Mark standard?
Okay, for me, I'm going to let Sam answer that part of the certification for him to confirm whether, whatever is recognized as organic in Cameroon, would actually fit our standards in East Africa. But yes, our vision is for that. And, like I've traveled to a few countries in Africa, even just here in Tanzania, it's normally so sad just to see these farmers have got very nice cashew nuts. We are struggling to produce cashew nuts. Tanzania, they are swimming in cashew nuts. We are not able to get those cashew nuts to Kenya because of logistical problems, issues at the border and things of the sort, and that's why we need to have partners like PON, who are really advanced in marketing and certification to break these bottlenecks to make sure now these markets are free. But then let me ask Sam, please answer the question about the Cameroonian organic certification versus our East African one.
Yeah, so I didn't just mean, I'm sorry to crush in, but it's not just, I'm not limiting my question to only Cameroon. As you have said, Tanzania with the cashew nuts, many other countries, you go to Togo, there is a lot of shea butter, and many of the products that we really require. So what I'm wondering is that, Sylvia, is there support you need so that Sylvia's basket can even become the biofuel of Africa? Because you are doing quite a lot. And why should we be taking our products to Europe, exhibiting in a biofuel when we have you around? How can we do to scale you up so that you get to that level and we call you Sylvia Biofuel Africa?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am Sarah. That's, one of the things I really like about Dr. Sarah Olembo is because she encourages me all the time. And, the support that I can say we really need right now is just to make sure that we are able to deal with the logistical barriers. I think that is the biggest headache for me, because about 3 weeks ago, I was with a lady from Togo, actually. And, I'm not able to get her, shea butter. I don't even know where to start. But for her to take her shea butter to France is overnight. You know, all the parts are open. But for me to get it here in Kenya is a headache. So we really have to break down the logistical barriers between the countries. And I cannot do that on my own. I need people from FAO, I need people from IFC and all those organizations from Africa Union. You know, we have our Africa Union Organic, what is it called? Anyway, but I need people in AU to help me. How can we break this?
Sylvia, there is an opportunity for you now that anybody can come into Kenya. Is that an opportunity that you can exploit? Because those traders are there. We have our contracts, particularly in all countries that are under PELUM or agroecology. They can bring those products. It's just a transportation, you know, hitches. But otherwise, now that anybody can come, I think that's a plus for you. Yeah, so you can exploit that niche that at least the president has given to us to see how we can utilize it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we have to start somewhere. You know, we don't have to start big. I don't have to start with 1 ton of shea butter, but we can start with 20, 30 kilos and then move it progressively. Very nice. Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah, for that contribution. Thank you and encouragement.
Thank you so much for that. I think
they told Ndungu to come in. Ndungu hasn't responded.
Ndungu needs to answer also.
Hi, Dr. Sarah, thank you for your question and your participation. Actually, all over Africa, if a farmer is, you know, complying to a standard which is part of IFAM family of standards, then that forms like an equivalent of the KCOA or the East African Organic Product Standard, and we can accept the products as organic. So what is important is the farmer complying to a standard, an organic standard, which is part of IFAM family of standards. If yes, yes, we accept those products as organic products. That's what I could say about the different certification programs and the standards that we have in Africa.
Thank you, Ndungu, for your response.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll exploit that avenue. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah. Any other person in the room with a question, kindly you can raise your hand. I don't see any question on our chat. Ratemo, can you see any question from your end?
No.
All right, maybe we can give a few minutes if there is anyone here who wish to ask any question. All right. If we do not have any
Grace, why
other
don't
person,
you take this as why don't you take this as a for us to take away and exploit? You know, this free movement of peoples in Africa, and the fact that PELUM and agroecology, we are working together through BioVision. The whole idea of these conferences that we hold is to showcase the products that we have in our hands and in the various countries. Uganda did a great job when we went there as AOLA. We wanted to stay in Uganda, I tell you, and it's just next door. Why? There are no limitations really for us to have an input and all of us to be able to participate in the Sylvia basket, being that we have got this PGS certification system and the IFAM standards that Mr. Ndungu has just referred to. We have countries all over Africa. What can we do? Can we deliberate on this question and to see how we can be able to put our resources together and lift up Sylvia's baskets into a continental basket?
Thank you, Sarah. I think this is an action point for us and PELUM. From here, I think we need to have a follow-up meeting concerning this. Ratemo, kindly note. It is important that we follow up. It should not just be a mouth talk. We need to take action now.
No. Actionable.
Maybe I can comment.
Yes.
I think in Uganda, this committee, I think Mr. Ndungu is the interim chair. the Joint Management Committee in terms of NOAMs in East Africa. Maybe you can share a bit about it, Ndungu, because I think that's one of their roles, to break barriers of trade. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
And then we
Ratembo.
also talk about the continental free trade area. Yeah, we have that as well. So in your answer, please include the AFCTA.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Sarah and Ratembo. When we had the Africa Organic Conference in Rwanda, in Kigali, we actually had a side meeting discussing how we can harmonize participatory guarantee systems. And part of the discussion, we agreed that we are going to have a follow-up because from 2000 and I think 2010, we have been having a joint management committee for East African organic product startups, which has been having participation from all the East African countries. And this joint management committee have been used for benchmarking on the PGSs and how we are developing PGS groups in our different countries, the procedures we are using, the systems that we have been using, so that we can have harmonization. Harmonization is very important because it encourages free flow of products and the acceptability and recognition of different certification systems across countries. And if we can have this sort of broaden so that we can cover all the countries in Africa, I think that this will be very important and encouraging a free flow of products across the different African countries. As Sarah, you are mentioning, if you have all the countries opening their borders, because as you know, the borders that were put in Africa actually were even dividing communities. For example, Kenya, Tanzania, you have Masai is a community, one community, but now with this unforeseen line, which is a border with Tanzania, we have Masais in Kenya, Masais in Tanzania, they are all relatives, and they can't visit each other freely because they are in different countries. I mean, as Kenya has done, I think we need to have all the countries opening their borders so that we can have one community of Africa and Africans. And then we can encourage now the free flow of products from one country to another without, all these non-tariff barriers coming in, between us and our countries. And this can actually encourage growth of organic sector, and also enjoying organic products from different parts of Africa easily. So as you say, it's very important that we cultivate and we utilize the opportunities which are coming up with opening our borders and having free flow of products across the different African countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samuel, for your feedback. I think that this conversation will not stop there. It will continue. Let me allow Kid to say something. His hand is up. Kindly, Baraza, switch on your mic.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity you are giving me. What I'm asking is for how do I be linked with the PGS group and Biovision Trust within the Kakamega County?
All right, thank you. Samuel, will you respond to that?
That is it.
I will encourage Barasa to read his contact with us. There are Biovision staff who are working in Western Kenya, and I would like to link him with them. And some of them, they are part of the capacity building program that we are currently running for TOTs, for trainers of trainers and the PGS assessors. And I would like to link them with him so that they can work with him on the developing a PGS group. Our PGS group is the other group that we like to develop as a PGS. So kindly just leave your contact, and then I'll follow up and link you with the staff.
Yes, his contacts is already on chat. Kindly pick it from there. And thank you, Barasa, for that concern. We will follow up with you. Any other person before I can give our presenters to give their final word, and then I give it to Ratemo? From here, I don't see any person with any word. So maybe I'll take it back to Ndungu. You give us your parting shot, and then Sylvia, and then I'll hand it back to Ratemo.
Thank you, Grace, Nisoi, and thank you for being a very good rapporteur. We appreciate that. And thank you for all the participants and the listeners, Facebook followers who are following this discussion. PGS is being developed as the next frontier, and a very good tool that is affordable, especially for smallholder farmers, that can really help to expand organic production and market access for farmers, especially in rural areas. And I would encourage every one of us to support PGS development and work with groups so that we can recognize farmers who are already doing organic, but they are not formally recognized by, forming the PGS group. And because, in Africa, we have a big potential for organic production. And sometimes it's a pity that what is we report as organic is quite small. But we report that small because we haven't formalized our system. So if we can formalize this production system through PGS, then of course now we'll be showing the true picture of Africa that we are producing a lot of organic products, and through PGS also we will encourage more farmers to be participating in the market and earning their livelihoods through organic farming. And in this way, then we can actually bring a change in the world. So thank you very much, and I wish everybody all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Sylvia?
Yeah, and maybe just to echo, what Sam is saying about us being able to really, take advantage of PGS, as I mentioned earlier, and also the Kilimo Hai mark, because PGS, in my opinion, is the gateway to markets. Like now, we have our friend Keith Baraza, who's asking, I have sweet potatoes. How can I be able to access a market? PGS and the Kilimo Hai mark is the powerful tool that will help him be able to access the markets. So I think for me, it's just to encourage us to produce wonderful organic produce, take advantage of the local settings of the Kilimo Hai market and PGS. Buy local, make sure you buy food from the farmer closest to you as possible. And I'm sure with time, if all of us do our own small things, we'll actually be able to grow our local markets. So thank you, Grace. Thank you to PELUM also, the PELUM team, for giving us this chance just to share our story, our vision, that we can be able to grow together. Thank you.
But Sylvia, when I go to Chandarana, I hardly see that mark of Kilimo Hai. Where is it? The other day, we were just chatting with the Mr. Organic, and we realized that the only label you get maybe from the fruits that are imported is whether it is pesticide treated or whether it is a GMO. But to see organic, labeled organic with the Kilimo Hai mark, I have yet to see that mark on any product that I buy from green grocers at Adams Arcade there. I mean at Yaya or the Chandaranas. I don't see that label. So where is it hidden? Because I always look for it.
I know what you mean. And basically, just to let you know real quick, the corner shop, I think, are the ones who supply Chandarana. Some you can confirm that if I'm not right or wrong. But, we've been having discussions with them and want to see how they can actually be able to incorporate the organic produce and actually have it there. But if you go to Carrefour, you will find organic products with the Kilimo Hai mark. At least the Carrefour supermarkets, I know they have organic produce. And sometimes whenever we don't have something, I know I always buy from the organic section in Carrefour. And we are still in discussions, because if Chandarana is able to buy from us, then, you know, we're able to increase markets for the bulk buying at the aggregation centers and actually pick as much as possible. So coming soon, thanks for that concern, but we are working on it, yeah.
So Carrefour, all of the Carrefours have that?
Yes, Carrefour have got organic section with the Kilimo Hai,
But
ma'am.
labeled
Yeah.
with the
It's
Kilimo Hai.
labeled.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sylvia.
Yes, thank you, Sylvia, for that. Now I understand why Sylvia was saying we are only meeting 0.001% of the market here in Kenya. A lot needs to be done. And I'm excited that I am part of this big family. I want to appreciate all the masters. Allow me to recognize Ferdinand Waf, Esther Kiruthi, Dr. Work you've done during this week, and not just this week in the program, the KHEA program. Thank you for your relentless efforts to support our farmers, to support the multipliers. I know you're getting a lot of calls and you're doing your best. I want to also appreciate all the participants from Monday for turning up in good numbers. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for the networks. I have made friends here. I have expanded my network through this week. Thank you very much. I also want to say that it doesn't stop here. It does not stop here. Let us continue with the good work. Let us continue with the good work. I also want to appreciate PELUM Kenya for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Madam Rosina, and the entire management of PELUM Kenya. And of course, the wonderful Lady Ratemo. You've been up and down, ensuring that everything is running smoothly. Thank you for the coordination as well. To this point, allow me to say bye-bye to everyone and welcome Ratemo to wind up the session by maybe recognizing those who are here. Ratemo, you can take over now.
Thank you. I think we are winding up. It was a week of agroecology webinars. I hope you have been inspired. For me, I have. Each day had its own session. And like Soy has said, the conversation does not stop. All our trainers are on social media. We have been tagging. So you can also continue conversing with them. So I want to give some general updates in terms of the presentations. All of them will be available on our website. I'm going to share the link, everyone who registered. And then for the recordings, all of them will be available on YouTube. At the same time, some will be on Facebook. And now I want to request everyone to turn on their camera so that we just take a photo as we conclude. I hope that's okay. If you can switch on so that we actually know who was here. We see a name, but we don't know the face. If you can switch on your camera, please do. I see you, Dr. Mihindo. Karibu sana. Andrew, Teresa. Thank you. Misoy, I don't see you. Dr. Lembo, who are you with?
I'm not able to switch on my camera, Ratemo.
Let me try to alert that. What about now?
It's working.
Perfect. Dr. Lembo,
Yes,
are you
please.
with?
Yes, I'm with James Adaba. He comes from Passion of Hope.
Passion of Hope. A pleasure. So I've taken a photo for our report purpose. So thank you so much, everyone who joined. And next month, we are going to plan for another webinar series with our master trainer. I see Florence from all the way from Uganda. Do you want to say hi? Florence?
Hello, this is Margaret Kawie.
Oh, Margaret.
Yes, nice to see you.
Hello, it has been very nice. Thank you so much for all arrangements.
Thank you. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Florence. All the way from Uganda. Thank you so much. So if the Uganda also have a webinar, we are going to share so that you're also part of what is happening in Uganda. So that's it from PELUM Kenya. We appreciate everyone who took time every day to have this webinar for like 2 hours. Thank you so much. So that's it. I want everyone to say bye like this. Bye-bye
you.
and
Thank you,
have a
everybody.
good
Hi,
day.
Mr.
Bye-bye.
Ndungu.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi.
Miss Soy, I
Hi.
hope to hear from you.
Baba.
Hi, Ndungu. Yes,
See you
yes.
at
Oh,
Saturday.
okay.
Good to see you
You're a
after a long
student.
time.
Yes.
And you remain behind.
Yeah,
You're a student,
thank
yes.
you.
He's talked very
Yes,
nicely
yes.
about
He
you.
used to be